Hello, friends, and welcome to the Friendly Show. I am your host and friend, Leigh. Okay, I have another new background today. Seems like every week I'm kind of floating around finding a spot. And so today I am in the atrium at the hospital. It is a really nice little setup, just for people to be able to get away for a little bit and for some of the patients to come and kind of have windows and things like that, which is really cool. So anyway, um welcome to the show. If this is your first time, welcome. Let me tell you how we kind of run the show. It's a little bit different than some podcasts. So the Wednesday night show in particular, what we do, I like to pretend that I invited you over to my house. You're in my living room, and we're kind of just hanging out, having a conversation. Maybe you brought a friend, I brought a few friends, and we're having a conversation. If you've ever had a conversation with me, you know that it usually will like start here and end up all over the place. And then hopefully we make it back to here again. Um, but what we do is we set up every month that we have a theme for the month. And then every week we look at that theme through the eyes or through the lens of one of the pillars of the happy framework. So this week is the last week in March, the last week in Q1 of 2025. I cannot believe that we've already are 3 months into the year. So, this month we've been talking all about action. Action is so important, especially when it comes to our happiness. A lot of people, mistaken that happiness comes from out there. If that thing changes, if I get that promotion, if I get that relationship, if I get that thing at that time, then I will be happy. And people really confuse that it actually is the action and the journey that is getting you to that point. And that is where the happiness resides. The happiness really is in the action that you're taking. So this month, we've been talking all about that. We've talked about our health, affection for ourselves, partnerships, purpose. And this week, we are going to be talking about youthfulness. And we're going to talk specifically about action steps that we can be taking to kind of infuse more youthfulness into our day. So, as always, at the very beginning of the show, I kind of give you some tangible tips, talk a little bit of science things, and then we come in. And my favorite part of the show is when you're here watching and you comment. When you comment, I'll bring your comment up on the screen, and now you become a part of the show. And so whether you have a comment, a question, or something that you just want to share an experience perhaps, then I want to hear it. So please, if you're watching this live, go ahead and put it in the comments. If you're watching this live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, or Twitch, you can do that and you'll be a part of the show. If you're watching in the replay, that's wonderful. Or if you're just listening to this in the audio version, that's great too. But if you want to become a part of next week's show, make sure you go to one of those platforms and you tune in at 7:30 Eastern on Wednesday. Okay? So let's dive in real quick with a couple of tips about how we can infuse more play and adventure into our daily lives. Because the whole thing with the happy framework, and when I talk about action and when I talk about happiness, and when I'm coaching people to really be able to find those happy moments in our day to day, it really comes down to being intentional. So, one of the main things when it comes to youthfulness is for us to actually schedule that in. It would be nice for us just to be able to be spontaneous. And what the cool thing is once you become more intentional about infusing more youthfulness, creativity, play dates, all those kinds of things, then it can become spontaneous because now it just becomes a part of you and you'll start doing it a little bit more. Just like when you start becoming intentional about your exercise, let's say, and it's really hard for you to work out or go for the walk or do the thing. The more that you do it, you identify more as somebody that, exercises, somebody that is staying fit, somebody that is healthy. And once you become more like that person where you tap into that identity, what happens is it shifts everything. And then you start parking further away from the door. You start taking the stairs, like you start doing all these things. So it's the same thing with youthfulness, that by taking action right now, becoming intentional, setting certain dates that you're going to do these things, then you tap into that as your identity. Yes, I'm a very playful person. I'm a creative person. And then you find more opportunity because that's the type of person you are. And you just have to be intentional in the beginning to become that person. Pretty simple. So, and when I say simple, it is simple. It's not complicated, but it is sometimes um, difficult for us to allow ourselves to do these things, right? So even though it's simple, it's not necessarily easy. So here are some of the things. Because it's not easy, I highly recommend that you schedule play dates for yourself. Okay, so take out your calendar and make time where you're going to be playful. So whether it's to take a dance class, or maybe you make a game night with either your family or a couple friends, or even if you want to just like start adult coloring, or you want to start doing puzzles or whatever it is, schedule that play date for yourself as if it's a work or doctor related appointment, because we don't miss those things. But when it comes to us, it's very easy to be like, oh, I'll do it when I have time. And then we never have time, right? So schedule those play dates for yourself. Say yes to something new. So if somebody invites you to something, or somebody is talking about, a new skill that they're developing or a new place that they visited, say yes to that new experience, even though it might not be comfortable for you. And what you can also do is say yes in your mind to taking a different route. Take a different route home. Even just for me, I've been coming to this atrium. I try to come here every day, just for a little bit, just so that I can kind of do some work. I usually get pulled away back in for to see a nurse or a doctor or whatever it is, but I try to come in here. And then in the first week, I was always sitting in the same seat, and that's what we tend to do, right? And so now I have intentionally decided that I am going to sit at every little area. They have like a little seating area, they have a table, they have bigger tables, circle tables, couches, like all these different areas. And so I told myself I'm going to be intentional about sitting in different areas, because it just helps kind of change your brain structure, that you're just like, okay, you know what? I'm not just getting into the slump of doing the same old, same old. You literally have a different perspective depending on where you're sitting and what you're doing. So say yes to something new, or make sure that you become intentional about changing the way you're doing things. Take a different route home, eat with a different hand, sit at a different, everybody usually, when you go to the dinner table and you sit down, everybody at the dinner table usually goes to their seat, play musical seats, change the seats every night. So do that. The other thing is bring more laughter into your life. So one of the things I've talked about this on the show. I remember one day I did an episode where I laughed through almost all of it, because I finally had like a little bit of a relief, a little bit of a reprieve, from everything that we've been dealing with the last 3 months. And I just remembered how to laugh, and it felt good. And so then my body was just like, okay, it's okay, let's laugh. And I was just laughing over everything. So really surrounding yourself with humor. Even if it's just like curating your social media, that only happiness is coming in, only laughter, that you see, cute little dog videos, or you see children laughing, all of those kinds of things matter. And so tapping into that, and curating your social media, so then you're seeing that laughter, you're seeing that play, that even helps you, because then you normalize laughter and play. A lot of the time when we're adulting, we don't have time to do that, when in fact the more that we do that, the more we are, enhancing our overall well-being. There's been studies that have shown that laughter actually boosts your immunity and lowers your blood pressure. So especially when you're in a heightened situation and you can feel your blood boiling, just to kind of like have a little joke, a little like levity just to kind of like soften things, it absolutely helps. And then the last two things I wanted to suggest, one is to plan a micro adventure. So kind of like the first thing about like setting a date, setting a play date for yourself, actually set up a micro adventure. It could be just going to like an escape room, doing something like that. But it could also be like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna lay out with my best friend and we're gonna go just in our backyard and stargaze, right? Like we don't do that anymore, but that's what we're going to do. And it's going to be a little adventure. It's going to be a little something different. Or I'm going to go out and I'm going to go in the middle of the day and I'm going to cloud gaze. Doing things like that. So psychologists suggest that micro adventures increase your happiness by breaking monotony and creating memorable moments. So doing those kinds of things, I think, are really fun, but they have to be intentional because we just won't find the time to do them. And then the last thing is move your body like a kid. So when we were talking at the beginning of March, when we were talking about taking action and moving our body, and even just not for, hours at the gym, we were talking about dancing and just doing things that are infusing more movement in our body, doing things that we loved as a kid and taking them into our workout routine kind of thing. So, skipping instead of walking. That's a big one. Doing that, doing a cartwheel. Okay, be careful. The older we get, I find the little more clumsy I become, but it's fun to try. Jump on a trampoline. I love those mini trampolines. I think it's such a great workout, but it also like you feel like a kid again. And just things like that, little things like that, dancing to your favorite song. Those are all fun, easy ways to incorporate youthfulness, make you feel like a kid again, but also adding that movement piece that's going to help with all of it, with the dopamine, with your anxiety, with everything. So that is that. I am going to stop there. I had a couple more, but I'm going to stop there because I want to see if you guys have come up with any questions, any things that you are thinking about as I was doing it. Okay. And we don't. Okay, so that is fine. So I do see that people are watching. Hello, hello. So what I'm going to do is I am going to, at this point, normally we would have a conversation because there would be comments. That's totally fine that there's not yet. But because there are a couple of you guys watching, I am going to ask a couple questions because what we do at the end of the show is we do a lightning round and it's just to get to know each other. Just on a friendly level, right? So we have, I usually do like 3 questions. If we have more time, we do more. So I'm going to ask you guys 3 questions. I want you to answer them, and I want you to answer the first one, then push enter. I just want to say, I just got an error for some reason. Anyway, so I want you to answer the first question, push enter, so then I can bring it up on screen and then we can keep going. Okay. So you don't have to memorize all 3. I will ask those a couple times. And I don't want you to answer all 3 of them in one post and then just put them in there. Let's have it more as a conversation. So I'm going to ask you guys 3 questions. I'm also going to put in here right now the disclaimer that I do every week, that I am not a healthcare professional in any way. So if you hear anything in the show, this one's a little bit lighter. There's not as much in the way of treatment and symptoms and all that kind of thing. But if you do hear anything that you're like, oh man, I really need to try that, the cartwheel, for instance. If it's something that you feel like you need to speak to a healthcare professional, please do that, whether that's your doctor or your therapist or whoever that may be for you. This whole show is meant for entertainment, but also for education. And I speak on behalf of my experiences and then those in the comments too as well. So here are some of the questions. As always, well, not always, since I've been in the hospital, I have been having ChatGPT come up with the questions because I want to answer them too. I want them to be like, I don't want to come up with them and then have to answer them. And when I, was back home, I had that card deck. So we'll get back to that eventually. But for now, we've got these. So let's see. I haven't read them yet. I just kind of like put it in there and had them send it, so then it's new for me too. So here are 3 questions that is gonna let's bring out your playful side. Okay, so here we go. So, what's an activity that instantly makes you feel like a kid again? Okay, so that's a good one. Um, what's your go-to fun break when you need to shake things up? Ooh, I know what my answer for that is. Ooh, and I like this one. Okay, if you had to invent a new holiday based on playfulness, what would it be? Okay, so that's fun. That's fun. Okay, so the first question is, what's an activity that instantly makes you feel like a kid again? So for me, and believe it or not, I've actually been doing this not a lot, but I've been noticing that a lot of kids are using that sidewalk chalk again. So not so much in the winter, although there have been a few days on my walks that there has been. But there's a lot of kids that are doing the hopscotch on the sidewalks. And whenever I do a walk, I always do it. If I see a hopscotch thing, I'm doing it, and immediately it throws me back. So I must have done a lot of hopscotching when I was a kid. Um, but it instantly, whenever I do it, it makes me feel like a kid again, which is awesome. So number 2, I'm just looking to see if there's any answers. There's not, but please feel free. Some of my regulars aren't here, which is kind of a bummer. But that means that we have new people on the show, so you don't have to be shy. You also don't have to comment if you don't want to, but I would love to hear your thoughts on these. So the first one was, what's an activity that instantly makes you feel like a kid again? The second one was, what's your go-to fun break when you need to shake things up? Okay, so for me, it's definitely dancing or singing. Actually, those would probably be the 2 that I just go to. So singing or dancing. I'm not good at either one of them, but I love both of them. So those are big. So do we have any answers over here? Okay, so Sarah is here. Hello, Sarah. So she has answered 1, playing cards. I used to play with my grandpa. Oh, that's so awesome. That's so good. Um, oh, sound guy is here. Hey, hey. Okay, so okay. I'm not laughing at your comment. I'm only laughing because I thought the last word was farts. Anyway, so it's not. Sound guy says Nerf gunfights, jigsaw puzzles, and pillow forts. Again, I was going to say farts. What's a pillow fart? You can tell why I'm in the hospital. I've got some colitis issues, and that's I seem to only be talking about farts and poop anymore. So anyway, so Nerf gunfights, those were fun. Those are fun. And jigsaw puzzles, they actually have in this atrium, they have a couple of jigsaw puzzles, like the bigger ones. And oh, they have a seat actually that's in the shape of a puzzle, which is cool. But yeah, I love that. That's really, really cool. Okay. And then Sarah says, I'm so glad you guys are answering. You can tell this is my favorite part of the show is when you guys are actually like engaging. So thank you. Thank you. Sarah says, listening to music and dancing along. That's awesome. That's very cool. Yeah. I loved dancing with you. Oh my gosh. When we were in Ohio, that was so fun. Okay. And then Sound Guy says, no farting in the forts. No. What is, okay. So what is that called? There's those Dutch ovens. Oh my gosh, Leanne, stop. Okay, so Sound Guy says, look how exciting you're getting about the puzzles. Yes, I love puzzles and I don't spend enough time doing them. So Jennifer, my sister, she loves doing puzzles and she actually does them. She's really, really good. Like really good. So she does puzzles that are like this, like all the same color, just different shapes, like not like this, but like a puzzle. Um, all the same color. And she can do like they're, I don't know, 2,500 pieces or something silly. Yeah, she's incredible. So, but I like doing them. I just like doing them in color, different colors that are make it easier for me. Anyway, okay. And then what was the last question? The last question was the holiday one. If you had to invent a new holiday based on playfulness, what would it be? Which is funny because there's probably a holiday, like whatever one you come up with. If we went to national holidays, there's probably, there's like hot dog day and cheeseburger day and skipping day. Like I'm sure there's one for all of this, but um, actually, I think there is one hopscotch day, but that's what I would say. I would say hopscotch day because I think it's a lot of fun even if you like aren't into like doing the actual like jumping, even coming up with a creative way of doing the hopscotch, I think it's really cool. So that's what I would do. And you guys, I will wait for your answers to see. Oh, anyway, and then we only have 9 minutes left because then I'm going to be kicked out. Although, fun fact, tonight I'm staying at the hospital. So they're kicking me out, but only of public areas. And then I'll be in my sister's room all night. So that should be fun. Okay. And then number 2, Sound Guy says, shake things up. I play old school video games, Nintendo and Game Boy. Oh, that's so cool. You should talk to Mike about it actually, because he has which you probably have too. But he actually got controllers that are like the old Game Boy, not Game Boy, Nintendo controllers. And then he can play it on his computer, hook it up to his computer, play with the controllers, and then he can play all of the old ones like Centipede and Donkey Kong and all those kinds of things. It's really cool. So that's fun. That's really cool. Okay, so let's do 2 more questions and then that's it. So playful. I'm cheating because I'm reading them because some of these I just don't care about. I'm like, bleh. No, these aren't fun. What's something silly that you do when no one is watching? That's a good one. I like that. And then, this is a fun one. Would you rather have a trampoline for a bed or a giant slide for stairs? Okay, so those 2 are good. Okay, so what's something silly that you do when no one is watching? Immediately I was going to say do like funny voices, but I actually have now noticed I do it out in public now. So that's no longer a private thing. I'm not really sure what I do that's silly that I do only when nobody is watching. I don't know. I tend to do everything that I do in private. I do like all these silly things out in public. So I don't really have one of those, I guess. I'm trying to think. I used to, but now I just like bring them all out and, talking about farts. I did it on the show today. Before I would never ever do that in front of people. I would never talk about it. So yeah, I don't really have anything silly that I do that I don't share with other people, but I'd be curious what you do. And then the last one was, would you rather a trampoline for a bed or a giant slide for stairs? So I feel like, I don't know. Like I think the giant slide for stairs that's really smart. Like I really like that idea. But the trampoline for the bed, I feel like would be super comfortable. Like, I feel like that would be really comfortable. And then I kind of like the idea of like being being able to jump and spring out of bed in the morning. So I'm gonna go with the trampoline for the bed. Okay. So let's see what you guys have. Sound Guy says, yes, I have 2 N64 controllers that I hook up to my Nintendo Switch. Woo, it's fun. Very cool. And he also said the slide for stairs, up or down will be awesome. Bonus, potato sack for going down really fast. Oh, so fun. Oh my gosh, yes. I love it, love it, love it. So good. And I never thought about that. The going up would be really cool. And that'd be quite the workout. Do you remember those like tube slides that we used to come down? I remember I used to like pull myself up when I was a kid. And one time I like cut the entire back, like all along my spine. My spine went up against it. And it was just like, I came out of the slide just like with my whole shirt bloody. And it was interesting. The only reason why I share that, it's a gross story, but the only reason why I share that is because you would think that that would make me not want to go up the slide anymore because it was hard and it was very painful and it took a long time to heal and whatever. But I kept doing it. I remember being as a kid, there were not a lot of things that I wouldn't do after I hurt myself. I would hurt myself and then I think it's because my parents kind of instilled that in me that it's like kind of like, brush yourself off and get back on the horse, get back on the bike. And so I did that a lot. And now that I'm saying it out loud, I think that that probably really helped me with like entrepreneurship and all that kind of thing. Cause I'm actually not too afraid. Sometimes I am, but I'm not too afraid of trying things. and failing. And I'm not too afraid of like failing in front of people. So that's so funny. I love how like these things totally didn't even think about it until just now, until you were like, yeah, and then going up the slide and it brings back all these memories. Introspection and just that's really like a cool thing. I don't know. I always get very excited when I start like thinking about the past and like how it formed me. So anyway, okay, so I think was that it? Were those the questions? I think those were the last two questions. Um yeah. Okay, here's the last one. What's a small adventure that you can plan for this weekend? Let me know. Let's end there. We've got 3 minutes left. What is one small adventure that you can plan for this weekend? I think that one's a really good one. Um, Sound guy says, yeah, but finding time for introspection is tough. Amen. Unless you host a podcast show and you can have introspection in front of all of your viewers. Yes. I was just listening to, I can't remember what book it came from, but they were saying like the 17 habits of um, millionaires or billionaires or something. I can't remember. I think millionaires probably. Anyway, and one of them was taking time to be in silence for introspection. And everybody, not everybody, but the majority of people that are doing very well take that time. And I would say that if you really think back to times when you've done really well, you've probably spent more time in silence. Or even like when you're in the car, instead of like just listening to like, music, or instead of like listening to podcasts, you may be a little bit more quieter because you're working on something very serious that you're like, okay, I need to just kind of think, I need to just focus. And you may just do that while you're driving or in the shower. You come up with a lot of great ideas. Um, but I find personally, the more time that I spend, um, like I get to a point where I'm successful, that I'm doing all of these things, and then I don't take the time for introspection. I don't take the time for silence because then it's like, okay, I'm at this point and now I'm going to just kind of keep pushing and grinding to go further. That's where everything kind of starts falling apart because you are missing out on those pieces. So, yes, it's hard to find the time for introspection, but we need to, and we need to look at that like it's something that is going to propel our life forward in success in business, but also in our own kind of personal growth. I think it's really, really important. Um, I've had a lot of time to kind of think, not a ton of time, but a lot of time to think about like real things that like what actually matters. Um, I'll share one story with you today. So I always am competing for the best parking spot here at the hospital. We've been here for like just over 3 weeks now. And like me and my dad, we both like are like, where did you park? Where did you park? And I was like, so we don't like parking in the parking lot across the street. We can walk, we're healthy. So we park on the side streets and just let the parking lot be for other people. And so we're always trying to get the closest parking spot. Today, I got like one of the closest parking spots and it was so good. And I was walking away and I saw this lady and she was looking at the parking signs, and where she was parked, it was actually illegal. There's only 15-minute parking. And I was like, excuse me, ma'am, I just wanted to let you know that that's actually only 15-minute parking. She started bawling and I was like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, but then she was like, "Oh my God, my dad is literally dying right now. My sisters are waiting for me and we have to say our goodbyes. And I have been circling and circling and circling." So then I was like, "Oh my gosh. Okay." So I like told her where my car was. I said, "Go get your car, come pull behind me." She took my spot. I drove her to the hospital and then I went and parked like 8 blocks away. I went from the closest parking spot to the furthest parking spot. And in that walk, because now I had time because I was walking for like ever to get to the hospital, I was thinking, holy shit, I'm coming in here thinking because we're having a really tough time with my sister. And then I got to thinking, yeah, but I know that she's going to be there when I get there. I know that she's going to be there tomorrow. And it's interesting. It's 8 o'clock. They just told me. So we'll have to like wrap this up. But anyway, introspection, it starts making you realize what's actually really important. And I was starting to lose sight of that here because we were out of the phase of losing my sister to now it's, you know, I knew that that was important, obviously. But now that she's been out of that critical spot, then I started getting into like, oh, why aren't you doing more? Oh, you got to push yourself, push yourself. And in that moment when I was with her, I was like, you know what? I just got to be really grateful that she's here. Like, I can't be pushing her further than she needs to at this moment. I just got to be happy. And today was such a good day. We got a little bit of bad news, but it was a good day because we were just like so grateful that we were all just here and together. And so anyway, I don't know how I got on that thing. I guess this is because this is the only time that I'm talking to somebody other than a doctor or whatever. So thank you for being here, everybody. I love you guys. Oy vey. Let's see. Let me see. Okay. I don't know why I'm laughing now. I'm so like spun right now. Okay. Patrick Kelly is here. Well, hello, sir. Take 10 minutes to tune out technology and find something beautiful in the real world. Yes. I feel like I have like finally like my mom was like, you need to go. I went out for lunch with a couple girlfriends this week, and she was like, you need to go. You need to spend time on your own and like just you need to. And I said, I feel like that's all I've been doing is kind of slacking off and 12 hours at the hospital is not exactly slacking off. But I've been like, yeah, I feel like, but the reason is because when I'm here at the hospital, I'm taking breaks and I'm going for walks. And because now I'm doing that, Patrick, I'm seeing the beauty in the world and like in nature and all that kind of thing. And it's fascinating how it's really been helping me feel more grounded. And I know that always to be true. But when we were in crisis, I wasn't taking that time. And it was so important. Sound Guy says, sorry for the silence tangent, completely opposite of embracing our youthfulness. Yes and no, because sometimes when we were a kid, at least me, I spent a lot of time where I would lock myself in my room and I would color. I would lock myself in my room and I would draw or I would journal. I would spend time. I had a diary. Like we spent time doing that when we were kids, and that was totally okay. So it actually kind of is really youthful for us to be able to spend time when we know we need it and just being like, no, I don't want to be around people. Where now we feel like we need to like constantly be on for people. And that 10 minutes really is important. So, Sarah says, thank you. Nice to see your beautiful face and needed to smile today. I love you, sweetheart. I love you so much. I'll see you tomorrow in the happy circle for, or in the happy lab for book club. And for those of you that are not part of the Happy Lab, if you want to join, in April, we're going to be doing the Let Them theory. There's a lot of controversy between that book, but I think that it's a really, really good concept. And did we need an entire book for it? Maybe not. But I think it's going to be a really good conversation. So if you want to become a part of the Happy Lab, you can go to leannhello.com or hellohappiness.ca and you can sign up and you can join us. And like I said, April, we are going to be talking about the Let Them theory for the book club and then also having mastermind. So that is it. I think I'm going to be kicked out. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much. And I will see you next week at 7:30. Love you. Love you.